But Don Calloway, before we went to break, MacKenzie Scott donated $50 million. Actually, it was 48 million to public schools in Chicago as part of her ongoing efforts to give away every dime she got in that Bezos divorce. These are grants that have no restrictions and they can be used by the schools however they want. I love this. Money with no strings attached. Chicago Public Schools received 25 million. The Noble Network of Charter Schools got 16 million, and Learn Charter School Network is getting 7 million. Thoughts on this?
So I think first of all, it's important to properly contextualize MacKenzie Scott. And if you understand the history of Amazon, she was right there with Jeff Bezos from the beginning as an initial investor. She was an initial investor in Google and a lot of the other tech platforms that eventually blew up and generated the massive wealth that they now have. So MacKenzie Scott is not just a person who got money from a divorce. She was a founding entrepreneur who had her own entrepreneurial credit when she married Jeff Bezos and they started Amazon, perhaps not together, but she was right there in the passenger seat. So I got to give her something of a little bit of respect.
Let me thank you for that. Let me
Yeah.
thank you, because again, most of us, I think, and I'm guilty of it as well, look at her as a woman married to Bezos. Of course, her support of him is why she garnered half. But I didn't know to the lengths that she actually invested her own money into not just this business, but others, because she wasn't giving away money when she was married to him. And now it seems like, and what's ironic about it is during the pandemic, she couldn't give away money fast enough. It just kept coming in because that company and a dozen others, including the oil companies, couldn't stop making money. She couldn't give it away fast enough. And so thank you. So, all right, perspective get received.
For sure. But MacKenzie Scott in historical context is an interesting proposition. I'm a jazz guy. Thelonious Monk. Thelonious Monk was essentially, once upon a time, from 1956 to the end of his life, life partnered with a woman named Kathleen Panonica de Koningswater. She was a member of the Rothschild family and essentially a member of the Hungarian aristocracy. And so
Wait, what?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, no, because I don't know nothing about music, Karen Hunter, so we're going to get into it.
No, you don't know nothing about black music. No, I'm just playing, because jazz is all of that. I'm sorry. Regular ass music. Yes, jazz. Okay, go ahead.
And so Thelonious Monk, for all of his brilliance, was essentially life partnered throughout the second half of his life with this woman who was a member of the European aristocracy and a member of the Rothschild family. And Thelonious Monk lived the life that Brother Michael, who called a moment ago, wanted to. And as much as Thelonious Monk was effectively a billionaire because his life partner was, and she was a patron of the jazz arts. If you move forward perhaps 30 years, you would see that our dear brother, Ahmad Rashad, formerly known as Bobby Jackson, I want to say, but Ahmad Rashad, we'll call him by his proper Muslim name. Ahmad Rashad was for a period of time married to one of the Johnson family heirs. So whenever you put that good pink lotion on, that's what kind of money we're talking about, baby powder money. Ahmad Rashad, he didn't make it last forever like Keith Sweat, but he got his piece of that American dream in being married to that billionaire white woman. Fast forward just a few years later, and my good friend, brother.
Well, I knew that one. I do that one. Yes. Robert Moore was his name, not Johnson, but go ahead.
That's right. That's Bobby Moore. That's right.
Bobby Moore married the heir, and then he became Ahmad Rashad.
That's right. That's right. Fast forward just a generation later, and my good frat brother Adrian Fenty, left his mayoral duties here in Washington, D.C., moved to the West Coast, at which he became life partnered with the fabulous Laureen Powell Jobs, who is the widowed of the great Steve Jobs. And he currently participates in a lifestyle that's a little bit different than yours and mine as a result of his becoming the latest iteration of the tradition started by Thelonious Monk, advanced by Ahmad Rashad, now lived by my good frat brother, Adrian Fenty. I know you want to talk about Black Panther, but as we consider the idea that MacKenzie Scott is now divorced, And we can speculate that perhaps she has an affinity for Black folks and Black people because of the lot of her philanthropy over the last 5 to 10 years. One must consider who is willing to take that for the team and advance Black interests.
I would say you, but you're happy. That matters. And let me correct myself. Ahmad Rashad actually did marry Matilda Johnson when he was Ahmad Rashad in 76, and they had 2 children, including Ahmad Rashad Jr. and Maisha. So somebody was talking to me about affirmative action and how white melanemic women are the beneficiaries greatly. And when it goes away, what's going to happen? And I'm like, well, because they marry white men. I was like, no, not really. And you're actually making a case, because I listed, Richard Parsons and Ken Chenault and Robert Smith III and Byron Allen, and it seems like now you're saying something.
I'm not opining on none of that. I'm just pointing out that there is a noble fraternity that is looking perhaps to add a new member in the coming years.
I see what you're saying.
The person, maybe it's not a man. I don't want to be gender. I don't want to be a manist. Right, I see.
A manist.
The person who finds themselves betrothed to a potential MacKenzie Scott, that's T'Challa. That is our new king. The person who can direct that kind of wealth towards sustainable Black causes, that is our new leader.
I don't think we need to. She seems to be doing okay on her own, directing funds to. All right, let's talk more about this. Now you got me sitting back, Google searching Thelonious Monk and the Rothschilds. You better come on through with your Illuminati discussion. All right.
If you are a Black bachelor out there, what could be a more worthwhile project than putting together systems to intentionalize you being in the path of social organizations in which she would be present?
How would you slide into her DMs? Like, how would you even meet Miss MacKenzie? All right, like somebody out there know how to do this. All right, Don, let's talk off mic. All right, it's the Karen of the show, Don Calloway with his messy self. We'll be right back.
Never been hung up, and that's the problem.